How do you respond to concerns about the potential impact of splitting responsibility for management of offenders at different levels of risk, and about how public sector probation services would retain responsibility for public protection under such a model?
Well, to some extent, it's what we did with the work programme. The policing role within the work programme sits very clearly with the public sector. So it is the job of Job Centre Plus to sanction. It is the job of Job Centre Plus to take decisions that are more about the policing of the system. We very clearly decided not to give providers that responsibility to keep it within the public sector. Now, it's clearly a different, I'm not trying to say that the models are exactly the same, because clearly they're not. But I think it is really important that the public sector retains responsibility for a decision, for example, about whether to refer someone back to prison, whether to bring someone back to the courts, whether to move somebody into multi-agency supervision. And I expect to see, often important to look at what does this look like practically on the ground. And what I see us having is, in a particular geographic area, our public protection service in two places. One might be based alongside the police, doing the team supervision of the multi-agency problem offenders where there's a high risk. I also see them having the outreach work, still the people operating in the courts, and the small teams operating alongside the mentoring organisations where there needs to be reassessment of risk, where there needs to be a recall to court, and clearly there has to be a contractual requirement on any provider to notify the public protection teams of a breach, for example, so that the risk assessment could be redone. You want the risk assessment to be done where there is a situation where you think that somebody's circumstances have changed in a way that means they're likely to go out and attack their partner, they might go out and commit a violent act. Fundamentally, what we're concerned about is protecting the public against somebody going off the rails and acting in a serious and violent way. And in that situation, you would want multi-agency supervision to try and prevent that from happening. That's a world away from the mentoring support that we're talking about. Actually, the mentoring support may help prevent that from happening. I hope it does, and certainly the providers will have a vested interest in making sure that it does. I just want to make sure there are mechanisms in place that you're effectively bringing somebody who is a major problem or has turned into a major problem back into multi-agency supervision, and that's what we're looking at. Part of the consultation is about, and one of the reasons Jeremy Wright and I have been around probation trusts, we've talked through case studies, Mr. Bryan and I did that in Winchester, is to understand exactly where we should kind of seek to draw the line between the two, and the mechanisms we should put in place to make sure you can cross over between the two.